All right, I'm J.M. Hudson. I'm here with Gerald Fuscone. Today we're going to be talking about the trucking industry and some of the more interesting aspects about it. Jerry, tell me about how you got into trucking to begin with.
Started in 1996 when I joined the Army.
Okay.
My MOS was that of a truck driver, 88 Mike.
Okay, so how much training did they give you?
Oh, a lot. Almost my first entire year in the military was nothing but training on driving a truck.
So, what kind of trucks did they have you driving? Obviously, they weren't your typical semis, I would assume.
Actually, a lot of them were. You started out with the smaller stuff, 5-ton trucks, straight trucks, things like that. And then I was assigned to a line haul unit, so I actually drove what was called the M915, which is basically a regular road semi. Very old. It's built in 1977. Truck was actually at the time I was in as old as me.
Oh, okay.
And it was an odd truck. It wasn't like you would see out on the road. It was a stick shift. It was a manual, but it wasn't. It didn't have a clutch pedal or anything like that. It was a 16-speed slapstick Caterpillar 7155 transmission.
All right. So you get out of the army. What did you start doing? I mean, did you start with a company or did you start with your own truck?
I started with a company right after I got out of the army. I actually started working in a company called Red Wing. I was driving a gravel truck, dump truck, tractor trailer.
Okay, how was that?
It was fun. I actually, to this day, kind of miss it a little bit.
Well, you know what? A lot of people that don't understand the trucking industry aren't going to understand how much it actually entails. I think a lot of people believe that you just get into the truck, drive to your location, and that's that. Uh, so let's talk about some things that the general public don't understand about trucking. Let's just start with getting loaded.
It just doesn't entail getting your load from one point to another. There's so much more involved. Like to me, the definition of a real truck driver is somebody that can like do everything on that truck. Like there's no situation that he can't handle that has to do with that truck. Breaks down on the side of the road. I've had trucks go down on me in the middle of nowhere in Missouri in the middle of the night on a dark road where you can't see your hand in front of your face. And I've had to fix the truck with nothing but a ballpoint pen and chewing gum and a screwdriver.
Is that true?
It's absolutely true.
Tell me about that. What happened?
I was going down the road, this dark ass road, and my air compressor stopped producing air. And as you know, your truck runs on air brakes, and so if you start losing air pressure, basically your parking brakes come on.
So how did you end up fixing it with the gum and the pen?
I had to undo the. There's two lines that come into the governor. Basically, you want to cross the two lines. So didn't have a wrench on me that fit the darn lines for some reason. So I actually used a screwdriver and just kind of like dug into the side and just loosened them with the screwdriver. I don't know how to explain how I did it, but I was able to get them undone with the screwdriver and then get them crossed. But when I was doing it with the screwdriver, I ended up poking a hole in one of the lines. So I actually used chewing gum and actually a little bit of electrical tape too.
That sounds like something I would do, yeah.
Yeah, I put chewing gum over the hole and wrapped it up real tight with the electrical tape, and it actually held the pressure.
So, another thing that people don't recognize is the amount of stress that you have, not only with the fact that you have to drive safely, not kill anybody or yourself, damage the truck, but one of the greatest things that I found as a driver as the highest stress is the DOT, the Department of Transportation. Now, I'm sure we all have nightmare stories about the DOT. Can you give me an example of a time you've had to deal with the DOT where you just literally wanted to shoot someone?
I did have one horrible um, encounter with DOT in Pennsylvania. To this day, I have a warrant out in my arrest for Pennsylvania because of that situation. But I was actually taken out of the truck at gunpoint.
Really? What happened?
I was running illegally with logs trying to beat some time. I didn't fill out my logbook for the day.
Explain to the layman what that means. What your logbooks? Explain to somebody how that works.
Um, it's basically you're keeping a log of when you started for the day, when and where you stopped, how long you've been operating, how long you were asleep, for a way to prove that you haven't just been driving for like 24 hours straight. We tend to call it the joke book because, I mean, there's so many ways to fudge a log. Some people, like old school drivers like me, we used to say we run 3 books: daytime book, nighttime book, and a spare book.
Right.
But the trick is keeping track of where you're at in the books. to not get caught. So, but to get back to the other story with the logbook, I didn't fill it out that day yet. I was trying to get some miles under me, and then I was going to start the book so that I can be a little bit of ahead of where I actually was. And I was coming out of Philadelphia, I believe it was, and I was coming out of Backaway, and lo and behold, sitting by this bridge is a Pennsylvania state trooper, and he comes, pulls me over for a random DOT check. Where's your logbook? At that point, I knew I was screwed. So I handed my logbook, and it's not even filled in yet for the day. And he was he's like, whoa, I'm gonna get. And so he went back to his car, run my license, that normal things like when you get stopped. And he saw somewhere on there in my past when I was many years earlier had gotten arrested on a weapons charge. I never went to court or anything like that, but I was just arrested on a weapons charge. So he calls for backup. And he got a feeling I'm up to something illegal because I didn't fill out my logbook. The truck's a mess, things like that. He found a few things wrong with it. I don't remember what. So the next thing I know, they come back up to the truck, and there's two of them. One's got the gun drawn. The other one pulls me out of the truck and puts me in handcuffs and brings me over to the side of the road, and they start searching my truck. And it just kind of progressed. They ended, they searched my truck. They didn't find anything. Some prescription drugs. I'm like, well, they're prescription drugs. Well, why you got them with you? I said, well, because I have kidney stones once in a while, and I keep them with me in case of an emergency. I don't take them while I'm driving. Drug test me if you want, I just have them with me because this is my home, basically. I'm on the road. I have to have what I need for any situation in the truck. So they searched the truck. They didn't find anything illegal, anything like that. So they ended up letting me go with a logbook violation, shut me down, and I had to sit there for 24 hours.
Right.
And then continue on from there with a hefty fine. But since that happened, I never returned to the state of Pennsylvania, so therefore I never went to court, and therefore warrant out for my arrest. But there's some other. They probably. It turns out that state trooper was kind of incompetent. I felt he was when he pulled me over. He just didn't seem like he knew what he was doing. Maybe kind of a cowboy, and he filled out the forms wrong, and he filled out that I had an Ohio driver's license, so they may never even figure the mistake out.
Can you describe to me a scary situation that you may have got in, whether it be an accident or getting into an altercation with someone?
I've had a few minor altercations at truck stops with a few drivers, exchanging words, ready to maybe have a fight, but I'm actually been told I'm kind of intimidating and can usually back people down. Otherwise, accidents, I've had a couple. Probably one of the craziest accidents I've been in was a couple of years ago. I actually had a deer jump across the interstate and came right into the windshield of my truck.
You showed me the photos of that.
Yeah.
He tried to high five you.
Yeah. That was probably one of the craziest truck accidents I've been in. I've had some other, minor.
So that
incidents.
deer, it just flew right into the passenger seat.
Well, it jumped. And it was, deer jumped really high. It didn't even leave a hoof mark on the hood. It actually hit the roof of the truck above the passenger side window and caved the roof in, then came in through the windshield. And, well, it bounced off me at one point, but it came to rest between the seats next to the shifter.
Wow, you're lucky to be alive.
Right, that's what it says. I didn't know what happened at first. My attention was diverted to a Corvette that was doing a gazillion miles an hour past me. I was doing 65, and this Corvette came by me in the left lane like I was sitting still. And my attention was diverted, and then all of a sudden, everything around me just exploded, and I had no idea. I'm thinking, whoa, did my front tire just go? Because I've seen tires go and destroy a truck before. So at first I didn't really, and then I'm thinking, did something come flying off that Corvette? What, I'm still in shock, but I had been doing this long enough, and one of the things that got me through this whole situation was the fact that I don't panic. I didn't panic. I did exactly like I was trained to do, mostly from the military. That's why the military training was really good for me. I just held onto the steering wheel and tried to control the vehicle. Don't touch the brake. Don't touch the gas. Don't touch the gear selector. Because after I got myself unflustered, I noticed my truck was heading for the center comedian. We call it the center ditch in the road. We call it the comedian.
Right.
So I just wanted to get steering control of the truck. That's all I wanted. So I just grabbed the steering wheel and brought the truck under control and started heading for the self shoulder. And as I was heading for the shoulder, finally I wanted to start braking and downshifting, and I went to go downshift, and that's when I looked down and realized there was a deer in the cab with me. And so I got the truck pulled over, and I was fully loaded. I probably had a 52,000 pound load on the
Right.
flatbed. It was Caterpillar ripper shanks. If it would
Ah.
have came off, it would have been a mess. I have dropped those before on the road. It makes a mess.
I can imagine. We've been here talking with Gerald Fuscone, truck driver, 20 plus years. Again, I am Johnny Fiver and or J.M. Hudson. And Jerry, thank you very much for doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
It was fun.
Yeah, great. Well, we'll try and get you back on. We'll talk a little more about trucking and the bullshit that it entails.
Right.
All right, man. Thanks again.